Good morning. Welcome again. My name is Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I am so glad that you are here with us this morning. Did anyone else notice that the choir looks like a rainbow today? Next time they get up, look, because they're all wearing solid colors and the rainbow, it's wonderful. Each Sunday we light our chalice as a symbol of our faith, and this morning we invite Ryan to light our chalice for us.
The torch still burns, and because it does, these remains for all of us a chance to light up the tomorrows and brighten the futures. For me, this is a challenge that makes life worthwhile. Robert Kennedy.
Thank you. And we continue to light candles in the darkness, as almost all of the world's religious traditions have found a way to do this time of year. I invite Barbara forward to light our Advent candles this morning.
We relight this first Advent candle to call upon hope. We relight the second Advent candle to call upon peace. We relight this third Advent candle to call upon joy. And now we light this fourth Advent candle to call upon love. Love, freely given and accepted. Love made manifest by our actions. May our efforts for justice be grounded in love. May we be lifted up by the love we have received. And as we share our love with others, may we learn also to love ourselves.
Thank you. And as tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, we invite Sylvia to light our menorah this morning.
I'm going to sing the blessing. Don't need to be mic'd for it, but if anyone knows it, you're welcome to sing along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlat ner shel Hanukkah. I'm going to read a poem written by Rabbi Brant Rosen called We Light These Lights, a new Hanurot Hallelu prayer for Hanukkah. We light these lights for the instigators and the refusers, the obstinate and unyielding, for the ones who kept marching, the ones who tended the fires, the ones who would not bow down. We light these lights for the sparks that guide us on through the gentle night, for the darkness that swaddles us in its soft embrace until the moment we inevitably emerge into life renewed. We light these lights for the spirit of resilience that remains. After our strength has ebbed away, for the steadfast knowledge, even as the bullets echo repeatedly on bodies lying in the streets, that the impunity of the powerful cannot last forever. These lights we light tonight will never be used for any other purpose but to proclaim the miracle of the truth, of this truth. It is not by might nor by cruelty, but by a love that burns relentlessly, that this broken world will be redeemed.
Thank you.
Rabbi Brandt wrote.
I hope you'll join me now in singing our opening hymn. And I have to say, I know I used this last week, and I'm going to use it next week too. I just am feeling this hymn so much at this time of year. So please join me in singing number 55, Dark of Winter. Please rise as you are able. In a spirit of prayer and meditation. After our spoken meditation, we will have a bit of silence, and then we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn number 123, which is also printed in your order of service. We'll sing first in English and then in Spanish. Our prayer this morning is by Elizabeth Strong. We are in the midst of the season of celebration. Celebrations of the birth of new hope, of the festival of lights, of the triumph of freedom. The darkness of the year is lifting, and the time of light grows longer, starting today. We have gathered with an anticipation of hope for peace on earth and in our homes. We have gathered in this season of celebrations seeking comfort to soften the pain and the losses of our lives, the losses we've suffered in the fast retreating year. We have gathered to worship joyfully within this season of celebrations with the tenderness and love of family and friends around us. Let us be embraced by the strength and the power of this sacred space that we each bring as we create this beloved community. Let joy and sorrow join in the fullness of our living. Let the power and strength we embody join us together as we move through the seasons of celebration into a new year with a new vision of hope for peace on earth. Let us be silent together. Our reading this morning is by my colleague Elizabeth Stevens. Oh, my dear ones, I know you were hoping for a once and done, for an earthquake, a tidal wave, hoping that if we gave it our all, a single push would be enough, that after this we could sink back into complacency, back into the comfort of our privilege. I confess, in the secret corners of my heart, I wanted to believe it could be that easy, that justice would emerge as from an egg fully grown, not with wet down and weak wings. But beloveds, we are chipping away at a mountain, not a boulder. calcified structures created to oppress, control, kill. 2,000 years of this stupid idea that some are worthy, some deserve power by virtue of who they are. Erosion is slow work, sweethearts. Celebrate the progress, the triumphs. Celebrate also the heartbreaking almosts. Breathe. Rest for a time. Then get up and turn again toward kindness, toward your neighbor in need, toward those who are still trapped in the stone. Tell them, I won't give up. Tell them, I am with you. Tell them, for you, I will learn to eat rocks. For you, I will keep chewing, keep grinding until the mountain crumbles to dust. Hanukkah begins tonight, and so this morning we reflect on a small group of rebels keeping hope and faith alive. And I begin to wonder, is this supposed to be us? I mean, is this why the Jewish faith retells this story every year? So that if people hear it enough times, they will begin to put themselves into the story. My colleague Kathleen McTeague writes, imagine yourself in the midst of the ancient story. You and your friends, the survivors of war and persecution, have finally come home from a hard-won victory. But it doesn't feel like home. It has been shifted, cracked and broken by war, and it's shadowed by the ghosts of those who have died. You all teeter on the edge of despair when you see the temple, the Holy of Holies, filthy and abused. Your arms ache at even the thought of what it takes to reclaim this space. In any case, what's the use? The sacred oil is almost gone, so the consecrating lamp cannot be lit. Then, in the midst of the exhausted, grieving silence, someone speaks. You hear the voice, small but firm, saying the only words that will let you gather yourselves to go on. Light the lamp. Though the oil has run out, light the lamp anyway, and we'll do what we can. And here we are, in the midst of a modern, ancient story. You and your friends, survivors of capitalism, the prison industrial complex, border walls, homophobia, AIDS, racism, climate change, and a Trump presidency. You're gathered together in a creaky old meeting house in a small liberal enclave at the edge of the world. But it doesn't exactly feel like home. It has been shifted, cracked, and broken by inhumanity, and it's shadowed by the ghosts of those who have died. You all teeter on the edge of despair when you hear about another mass shooting, another border death, another trans woman gone missing, another synagogue defiled. Your arms ache at even the thought of what it takes to reclaim humanity. In any case, what's the use? You've been to enough protests, enough vigils that haven't changed anything. What is the point in lighting one more candle of solidarity with those who will never see your light? Then, in the midst of the exhausted, grieving silence, someone speaks. You hear the voice, small but firm, saying the only words that will let you gather yourselves to go on. Light the candle. Though we feel we are running on empty with no reserves of resistance left in us, light the candle anyway, and we'll do what we can. Frances Moore Lappé, author of Diet for a Small Planet, recently wrote an article entitled 10 Tips on Disarming Despair. Despair is humanity's worst enemy, she says. But despair lives in isolation, while useful hope arises in connection. Lappé lifts up what she calls a surprising truth that the only choice we don't have is whether to change the world. In a universe in which all is connected and in continuous change, even a choice not to act has reverberations that we can never measure. So our job then is not to decide if we will or won't act to make a difference. Our job is to realize that we are making a difference through our very existence. And so we have to decide which kind of difference we want to make. We must dig deep to energize a sense of purpose, because even our small actions and inactions are changing the world. Claiming our power is really a self-fulfilling prophecy, Lappé says, because when we act, it signals to our brains that we are not powerless. Action rewires our mental and emotional lives in a way that talking and thinking and preaching do not. Do not act from guilt, Lappé says, but to fulfill our deeply human need to experience power. Not power over others, but power to be counted in the world. Every choice we make that affirms our values makes us more convincing to ourselves and thus to others. To believe the world can change, it sure helps if we experience ourselves as capable of change. We need to risk what scares us, Lappé says, whether it's speaking out when we know others won't agree, or volunteering for the first time in a political campaign, showing up to a rally, calling a representative. It's doing what we thought we could not do. Though scary, the rewards can be huge. Unexpected bonding with strangers, deep learning, and letting go of feelings of powerlessness. And a reward we may never even see, our courage is contagious. Someone is always watching. Maybe that's another reason that we light candles in the darkness at this season, both because we need the light and because others are watching. Rabbi Barenblatt says, "It always takes a leap of faith to choose to kindle light in a time of darkness, to trust that our small flames can actually make a difference in the great cold world. But they can, And they do. Lighting the first candle of Hanukkah, she says, is a chance to affirm our ability to bring light into the world. Lynn Unger writes, "Come down from the hills, declare the fighting done. Be bold, declare victory, even when the temple is wrecked and the tyrants have not retreated, only coiled back like a snake preparing to strike again. Come down. Try to remember a life gentled by daily acts of domestic faith, the pot set to boil, the bed made up, the table set in calm expectation that when the sun sets, we will still be here. Come down and settle. Unlearn the years of hiding. Light fires that can be seen for miles, that dance and spark and warm the frozen marrow. Set lamps in the window. Declare your presence, your loyalties, the truths for which you do not expect to have to die. It would take a miracle, you say, to carve such a solid life out of the shell of fear. I say, you are the stuff from which such miracles are made." Hanukkah begins tonight, and so this morning we reflect on a small group of rebels keeping hope and faith alive. And I begin to wonder, is this supposed to be us? Are we the stuff from which such miracles are made? We seem such unlikely candidates for this responsibility, this burden, this honor. But then, so were the Maccabees. Amanda Udis Kessler writes, "We light Hanukkah candles in wonder, joy, and gratitude, each candle a miracle. When the Holy Temple was rededicated at the time of the Maccabean liberation battle, only 1 day's worth of oil remained, yet it burned for 8 days. So we light candles in remembrance. We rededicate ourselves to the miracle of light in a season of darkness, to the miracle of trust in a time of anxiety, to the miracle of hope in a time of despair, to the miracle of faith in a time of cynicism. We rededicate ourselves to the miracle of wholeness in a time of fracture, to the miracle of courage in a time of fear, to the miracle of resistance in a time of oppression, to the miracle of peace in a time of violence. And in a time of hatred, we rededicate ourselves to the miracle of love. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. That oil lasts, but that our hope lasts despite disappointment. The miracle is not that fire illumines, but that we grow brighter. The miracle is not that people tell ancient stories, but that people dare to live their own stories. The miracle is not that tyranny is resisted, but that resistance recreates us into new beings. The miracle is not that courage exists, but that courage does not every time have to ball itself into a fist. Go in peace.